Dun, 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 dun. The girl from
Guys, it's Mariana here. I'm here with the amazing Lauren Kate, author of the Falling series. Lauren, I finished seeing the movie and I'm kind of freaking out. I was in the season like, oh my god, I want to applaud every single scene. I'm so happy with the result. I imagine you are though. And you took a class about reading the Bible as literature, and you create your own angels, and look how far you've come after that. How it feels for you?
It surprises me every day. I came to Rio on my honeymoon.
Yes.
7 years ago, and it was right after I had signed Fallen with my publisher, but before it came out, before it had sold any place outside of the United States. And I remember walking around here with the man who owned the bed and breakfast, Posada, where we were staying. And he showed me a bookstore, and he said, oh, maybe someday your books will be here. And I said, no, my books will never be in Brazil. I can't imagine. And today, having come, this is my second time coming just for the books. It's just incredible to get to be with the Brazilian readers. They're the best.
And I already know when you started searching for angels and reading the Bible. Can you tell the people who don't know?
Sure, yeah. It started when I was in graduate school, and I was taking a course about reading the Bible as literature, and the first day of the class we were just going through Genesis, and early on there's this line, it's 6:14, talks about the sons of God, the angels, looking down from heaven at the daughters of man, mortal women, and finding them beautiful. And my professor said she believes that the reason the angels were cast out of heaven, the fallen angels were cast out, had to do with this moment, because when they adored these women, for just a second, they weren't adoring God, and God didn't like that. And I was thinking so much about what it meant to lose your place in heaven for love. You know, I guess I wanted to write the story of the girl who could make that sacrifice worth it.
And one thing I always said about movies that are based on books is that if the essence is there, it's worth it. And this happens to Falling. More than that, there are some scenes that I imagined myself reading. I recorded, and I was so happy. And I want to know if, as a writer, you were afraid of the result, and as a producer, after you made any requirement, any change.
Yes, I was afraid. I was afraid at the beginning, and that was a long time ago. The film rights were optioned the day the book was published, and I was still writing. Before I met the second book, I was really early in my experience of working on the series, and so at that point, it still felt so close to me. I was still figuring so much out that it felt really scary and hard to imagine how a movie would ever, know the things that I didn't know yet. So it took us several scripts to get the script right. We had a few really bad scripts while different screenwriters were trying to make sense of the story, which is hard because I hadn't made sense of it yet. It took me until Rapture to really understand what I was doing in Fallen. My subconscious, I guess, knew it all along, but I didn't. But so, by the time we had the script ultimately that worked, I had finished Rapture, I had, moved on in my own writing, and I had felt as if I had released Luce and Daniel's story to the readers. So it gave me a kind of perspective that I think just made it easier for me to communicate what the series was, what it meant, what it was about, how to set up the first movie so that we could get to second and the third and the fourth. And that was the biggest hurdle, I think. But once we had the script, pretty quickly after that we got Scott Hicks, the director, who's great. He hired the wonderful cast, and we have a beautiful movie now.
And talking about the cast now, we were all so happy that they looked alike, the way we imagined the characters you present to us. And now I can say that they really give life to the characters. I'm really happy. I'm
glad to hear you say
and
that.
I want to know if you gave them some advice, they asked you something, they read the book before.
They had all read the book before they started shooting, I think, and then have since. I know Addison, after she shot the movie, went and read the rest of the books. I think that each of them really brought a lot of thought and consideration into the role that they were playing. They all figured out, like both of the boys designed their own tattoos and designed a lot of the elements of their very intricate costumes. Because they're immortal characters, they've been around for so long, they would have little mementos from 1,000 years ago, pinned to them, or a feather from something that happened during the French Revolution. I think Harrison in particular was thinking a lot about his costume and the places that Cam would have been through history. I think I remember speaking to Jeremy about just some of the, this is a very unsexy way of putting it, but like the way that an angel's body functions. Like, he was wondering if angels sweat, and he was wondering if an angel had a beer, would he feel the effects, and does an angel get hungry? And I think he was really trying to figure out how an angel operated in the physical world. And Addison just brought this real depth of emotion that spending time with her during these promotional trips, I've been so thrilled to hear her backstory about what she brought to the character, what she pulled from herself, the specific ways that she could trigger herself to pull off a really powerful scene. And I'm really proud of them all.
Not all the authors has the opportunity to see them histories becoming real as close as you had.
Yeah.
So can you tell us any curiosity about the sets, any fun history you like to know?
Yeah, this is great. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Addison has a lot of great ones. One thing that they were telling me recently was there's a scene where Luce and Daniel are just about to kiss, and it's obviously a very powerful moment. They've never kissed before in this life, and they're on a balcony outside, and Cam has to fly in and stop them. And they were telling me all the hilarious stunts that happen because he's flying on a rope. He's tethered.
God.
He's like basically on a zip line coming down, and they would get their scene perfect and be just in the right moment, and then he would like plow into them and knock them over. And I guess they had to do that one a bunch of times, but you'd never know looking at it.
Yeah. Now I have a question. I always like to know from the authors is what is harder, to finish or to start a book?
To finish.
Finish.
Starting is
Why?
always easy. I think for me, it's really hard for me to imagine this not being the case for everyone, but for me, it's very easy to get ideas and inspiration and feel moved to sit down and start something, but I always get writer's block. Maybe it's 10 pages in, maybe it's 50 pages in, but it always comes. And then once I have it the whole rest of the book. Not every day, but a lot. It's so hard for me to finish that first draft. Once I finish that, take a month off. I give it to a few readers, my editor, and then I have some feedback and some perspective, and this is where I am at the moment. I'm just about to start the revision, which is nerve-wracking. That's harder to start. That's hard. It's hard to start the revision. I don't want to do it right now. But once I do, that's when I realize the book starts coming alive.
I want to know if after knowing that the book was turning into a movie, you change anything on your ideas for Torment you were writing it? Yeah? So you change anything, you thought, oh no, this is not gonna happen in the movie, something like that?
I remember thinking one thing when I was working on Passion, the third book, which is a journey really back through Luce and Daniel's past experiences across history, across all different cultures. And I just remember thinking, like, how if this, at that point the movie was nowhere close to being filmed, but if this ever happens, if they ever make this movie, if they ever make a second movie, how would you can understand it in a book that a character can change from one ethnicity or one look to another look across time, but how could Addison Timlin play Luce in all of these different cultures and all of these different countries? And in the end, I didn't change the way I approached it because it just felt right for the story, but I am really curious how we'll approach that in the movie.
And we all talk about Lauren Kate, the author of Falling, but you also had Teardrop, a lot of other books, and I want you to introduce Teardrop to the readers first.
Sure. Teardrop is the story of Eureka Boudreau, and she has extremely powerful emotions. To the point that if she were ever to cry, which she never ever does, but if she were to, her tears would cause a flood that would flood the entire world and bring back the lost worlds of Atlantis. So I really love these books so much, and I think they are one of the coolest love stories I've ever gotten to work on. I think having a girl with so much power that can also be so dangerous was a really exciting thing to explore, and the balance of the relationships with the boys in her life, trying to help her, trying to stop her, was just a lot of fun to juggle.
And you also had the book of Princess here in Brazil, Livro das Princesas. And how was for you? Why you choose that princess, and how was to work on a project with Mac Cabot and two Brazilian authors, Patrícia Barbosa and Paulo Pimenta?
You know, I actually didn't work with the other authors at all. It was kind of a separate thing. My publisher came to me and said, this is a project that we're starting to work on, and would you consider doing an adaptation of a fairy tale? And I knew immediately which one I wanted to do, and Sleeping Beauty came so quickly to me. And you know, I don't write a lot of short stories, but this one was so much fun because when you're adapting something that already exists, there's a structure and a history, and I got to do a lot of good research on all the different versions of the story. So it was really fun to do.
Yeah, and you have a really good relation with Brazil. You already said that you came for your honeymoon, and I want to know first, which one is your favorite city?
I mean, Rio is extremely special to me. It's the first place I ever came, and I really love it so much.
And what do you know about our culture?
I think your culture derives from this really specific kind of Brazilian personality, which is big and loving and generous and happy, and you can feel that in your music, and you can taste it in your food, and you can just feel it. I mean, you feel it in the fashion. I think it's just a really exciting and fun place to be.
You know any song, any singer, books, authors?
I've been singing The Girl from Ipanema all day because of where we are.
Please, please. Falling has a good number of strong women, and your other books too. Is a thing you always want to write about, or is something that just happens to you?
Both. I mean, I don't think you can write an interesting story without a strong character, whether it's a man or a woman. But I think also characters become strong by obstacles that you put them through in stories. So I think for me it's really exciting and cool to explore how love can be a strengthening force in a young girl's life, and the thing that can give her autonomy and courage and, you know, strengthen her ultimately. So I think that's sort of the beginning of a lot of my characterization of my girls, and to me it's the thing that helps us know who we are.
After the movie and after the series, you already have published more than 3 books. Now, can we maybe, when you have a chance to visit Sword Cross again? Maybe after Raptor, the final, maybe?
Maybe.
Let's do a ping pong.
Okay.
Yeah. If you were another author, you'd be?
Catherine M. Valente.
If you were a book.
100 Years of Solitude.
If you're a character.
Maybe Eureka from Teardrop.
If you're a place.
Rio.
If you're a feeling.
Bittersweetness.
If you're a song.
The Girl from Ipanema.
Oh. If you're a movie.
Fallen.
Oh. If you're a word.
Love.
A phrase.
Be an enigma.
Before finish, there is something that no one ever asked you about you, and we, our fans, would like to know.
I think people don't know that someday I really want to write a cookbook. I really like to cook, and I would love to write a kind of narrative about what food means and how it connects people and what it has to do with love.
What are your favorite cooks?
Favorite cooks?
Yeah.
Oh. Julia Child, Alice Waters. Those are the top two.
And leave please a message for all the Magia Literária's readers.
Magia Literárias.
Magia Literária.
Magia
Literária. Yes.
I love you guys. I'm so happy to be in Brazil sharing the fall premiere with you. I hope you go see it, and let me know what you think.
Thank you so much, Lauren. I'm so glad. Thank you.
Fabulous.